Hey guys, Christina here. I had a few questions about the binding machine that I've been using. I have a Trubind Coil binding machine. I've had it for about 2 months, so this will be an early review on it, but I wanted to give you an idea of how it works and look at some of the binding I've already done with it, just so you have an idea of kind of what it is, how it works, and see if it's worth the cost for you. So I'll turn the camera around and give you a look right now. So here's a look at the machine. It is quite large and it is fairly heavy as well. It's quite heavy duty. So it has here information on the spiral size or coil size you're gonna need and how many sheets of 20-pound paper you can do, which is very handy. This machine has a capacity of 20 sheets of paper or 4 sheets of PVC. However, I have found more like 10 or 2 PVC is kind of more ideal. So this just comes, if you're gonna punch, down like this, and it punches it like that. Now there is this little thing on the side here that gives 2 different margins. And I'll show you the difference here. So this is one that I did where it is the thicker margin compared to this one, which is the thinner one. So I'm not sure if you can really see. I'll try and line those holes up so you can see the difference there. I think this one turns easier when it's closer to the edge, but it is more likely to rip, whereas this one, it's a little bit more difficult to turn, not horrible, but I think it's a little sturdier. So gives you those 2 options there. And then there's also the adjuster here. So you can adjust this like this so that you're gonna get your hole punched right. On the back side here, there's the little piece that opens. Just take it out. And that's where you empty all the little hole punches through. So that's kind of a look at it. Now there is there's other versions of the machine. There's one that at the top here, it has a little spiral helper guide, like it spins, and once you start putting the coils in, you touch it to it and it spirals them in. I decided that really wasn't worth it for me. I could just do it by hand. So there's kind of a quick look at it. I'm just gonna grab one of my kids here to help me so I can show you how you actually put them together and how it works. All right, so I've got my son holding the camera for me so I can show you. So I always recommend using just a piece of scrap paper you have ahead of time to make sure that it's gonna line up exactly where you want. So you use the guide, you push it in all the way, pull it down, and there you go. So I'll just move the guide here and show you, if we put it like that, how that changes this then. So you can see how that went over the edge and there's a gap there. So that's why you always want to try it on a piece of paper first, and you want to use the adjuster to make sure you're getting it exactly where you want, as well as using that setting guide on the side there. So I just went ahead and did another set of just scrap paper here with that larger margin, so you can get a better idea of the difference in where it places it. So depending what your project is or what you're doing, those are the 2 options for that. Now here's a look at some of the coils. So this is a size 6, a 10, a 14, and a 22. I just ordered these in bulk, and I ordered kind of the smaller sizes and a larger one. I do need to get at least 1 or 2 in the middle, I've found, because for some this isn't quite enough, and this is just way too big. And again, right here it'll tell you, so like size 6 will hold 30 pages, a 10 will hold 75, 14, 115, and then I have the 22, which will hold 190, so I do need to get something in the middle just for some future projects, but that's an idea of how the guides work and how you know which size to use. All right, so I'm just gonna show you how you do this. So you would have all your papers together, lined up, and you would just take this and you just spiral it, the camera's picking that up, all the way through, like this. So if you had the machine, you would start it off and then put it against it and it would do it real quick, but It's really not that difficult to do. And it just spirals like that. I have found that the larger size, this 22 one, is a little bit harder to do, but the small ones are quite simple. And once you have them all lined up, it's really quite easy just to go round and round like that and get it done. Now it does also come with this tool here, which is a cutter and a crimper. I'm still figuring this out. It takes a little bit to figure out the right way to use it. But what happens is once you've done all your spiraling, you're gonna put it like this. Let's see if I'm doing it the right way. And it's gonna chop a little bit and it's gonna crimp the end. I just did it the wrong way. Didn't quite do it enough, but see how that crimps in? And then you tuck that in underneath on the edge of your books. I'll show you some in a minute. So I'm still figuring this out, still learning that part. But that is the tool that also came with the machine, and that's how it works. And if you hold it the other direction, so if I just hold it this way, it just simply cuts it, just like that. So here's an overview of some of the binding I've done so far, and I just wanted to show you. So like this one was a larger one. This could have used a smaller spiral, but I didn't have that in-between size. And this is through laminated front sheets, and then these are not laminated. There's that one. These ones here are laminated at the top. They're quite small. These are all laminated sheets. This is the same, it's done the same way. You can see I'm still figuring the ends out a little bit. This is gonna be my daughter's handwriting for the fall. You guys are getting kind of a sneak peek at some of our curriculum. I'll have that video up in the next few weeks. She's left-handed, so I bound her at handwriting at the top. And again, I think I prefer where it's closer to the edge. I've done most of the work that way. And then I have just used a plastic sheet at the front and one at the back, the vinyl sheets. This one, again, I used a large spiral. I could have used a little bit of a smaller one, but I didn't have it. This is one of my kids' Story of the World book for the year. Some more, this is a smaller one. You can kind of see how that works. This is the activity book, the teacher's book I took apart and put together with some other stuff, and again, just bound it like that. Sorry, my phone rang there. So this is the one that was bound with that larger margin. See the pages, they turn okay. And there's that one. This one is for one of my other kids, the handwriting. He's right-handed, so I bound it on that side. Again, just the PVC. Now these ones are a little different. These ones are laminated on the front and the back. I just kind of wanted to do them a little differently. This one I cut and it was flush with the papers, but I actually prefer having it down a little bit. And that caused a bit of a problem because the one thing I'm not loving about this machine is that it only does standard size paper. So in order to do this, which needed 2 more holes, one top and one bottom, I had to do them by hand, which was a bit of a pain. So it can be a little tricky too when you're trying to do this size to make sure that you're getting it without like a half edge. There's a few that I got a little half edge there, so that's something to keep in mind if you're going to do smaller, is to make sure that you're doing a size that's going to work with that spacing. So there's a few examples of some of the binding I've done already. So the binding machine was definitely an investment. I paid just over $150 Canadian for it. I counted how much binding I've actually used it for. In the last 2 months, I've done 25 plus, actually, maybe 26 books of some sort. So my local Staples was charging $6 a book, no matter the size, even those little ones. So that's $150 right there. So, and then there's the cost of the coils and the PVC, but it's really not that much. And this is something I'm going to be using for years to come. So definitely an investment, but for me, totally worth it. I do like it, just that size thing's a little tricky. If there's anything I've missed, if you have any additional questions, just leave them down below and I'll try and answer them for you. Hopefully this has been helpful though, and if it has, hit that thumbs up button, and I hope you're having a great day. Take care.